Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and today is the day that I finally try and get the 680 to move under its own steam. Oh! All right, first up, let's address a couple of things about the car that I brought up last episode. Many of you were saying that these two indent holes is actually where this hole here is where the hazard light is. And as you can see, there is it's just an indentation. There is no switch, there's no hole there. This here is not a cigarette lighter. It's a switch you click it on and turn it up like a volume switch on a radio or something. I'm wondering it might be the dimmer switch for the backlighting for the gauges. Either way, there's no hazard switch here. There is nothing in the middle here, and this center console doesn't have a dimmer switch in it. So from what I've been told, by the sounds of things, the Australian cars didn't actually come with a hazard switch in the car in this year, which is a strange thing. It also appears that it doesn't have a cigarette lighter, which is odd because it does have an ashtray in the middle of the car. I mean, moving on, the first thing I'm going to tackle today is I got a couple of really good suggestions about what's going on with my crazy brake lights, and it's more than likely the earth to the brake lights in the back, and I'll take you in there and I'll show you what I was dealing with previously. Okay, let me move you back over here and I'll talk you through the issue I was having with my brake lights and my indicators. So my brake light globes were working and they were all good, but what I think I did to wreck it, I was having an issue with my fuel pump and it wasn't getting any power. This is the factory power going to the fuel pump, and it was working, then it stopped working. So I replaced the power lead because I ended up tracking it down to that, and that didn't actually work. So that's where I've spliced in a new one here. What I end up being is it was a bad earth. So I disconnected the earth and remade a new earth. I joined it up here and connected it up, and it's probably not a great earth, but that is my new earth there. Now, it may actually be because I've disconnected this and whatever this was connected to is still a poor earth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to re-splice some cable to this and then re-earth it, join it back over and have it as its own earth again as well. And I'm hoping that will fix my issue. I'll take you through now how I do my wiring. So first of all, I sort of measured up and cut off a piece that's about the right length that I want. I strip the ends. I love these type of wire strippers. They just work so well, so simple. Stick the wire in to whatever length you want, grab it, and it peels off the end, nice and clean and easy. I give it a light twist. I am not a wiring expert, by the way. This is just how I do it. So yeah, plenty of you are probably going to tell me I'm doing it wrong, but this is how I get it done. Now, using the correct type of crimp pliers, I crimp these ends. That is a nice, secure connection. I can't pull that off. That's nice and solid and secure on there. Now I go through to the other end, and this end I need to join up to my original wire. So I've got to go through, strip this end off, strip the end off of the earth that I'm trying to create. I get a bit of heat shrink tubing and I slide it over the edge. Always try and slide the heat shrink over the end of the cable before you start, because it's a real pain if you haven't got it on there. You can't get it on afterwards. So I've got that. I take my my wires and I just sort of open them out slightly, put them in together, and then twist them around. Once I've got them together as one nice combined joint, these ones I solder by heating up the soldering joint underneath. Get both of the wires really nice and hot with a nice hot soldering iron. And I try and get the solder to melt through the wire from the heat of the wire rather than from the heat of the soldering iron, because you don't want blobs on the soldering iron. You just want the wire to be filled, all the gaps in the wire to be filled with the solder. For me, that's a pretty good join. The solder's soaked all the way through, but it's not blobby. It's all in there. Now, hopefully it's cool enough so I can slide the heat shrink over the top. You don't want it too hot and get the heat shrink to shrink as you're sliding it back over. Get out the heat gun and heat it up, and make sure you don't melt anything else behind the heat gun, like the carpet or something. And there we go, we got a nice insulated join. I'll connect this up now, and fingers crossed, I've fixed our problem. Success! I've actually just wedged a screwdriver behind the brake pedal so that the brake lights come on. We have a winner. That was the problem. Thank you very much, guys. That is fantastic. Yes! Oh, that wiring is such a huge win. That has been driving me crazy for hours. I pulled apart everything I did except that little bit. So that's fixed it, which is fantastic. So before I can get this going, I want to get it back up in the air again. I want to just go underneath, just have a double check of everything, make sure everything is looking good and buttoned up and I'm not sort of forgetting anything. Just double, triple check everything before I start moving it around and cause myself issues that I don't need to. Fingers crossed it's all good. Let's get up in the air. Okay, so before I actually drive this car, I need to clean up some of this stuff. Now, I haven't finished with the wiring here, so I'm not going to button up completely, but I want to make sure that there's nothing down around the pedals that's going to get in my way. All this stuff that's hanging down, it's all just got to be tidied up, at least for my drive, so that it's safe. I also need a steering wheel, because it's going to be really difficult to drive without that. So let's just do some cleaning up, and then we might see if we can start it and see if it'll move. Oh. All right, steering wheel's on, wires are tidied up well enough out of the way. It's time to start this thing up and move it. To say I'm nervous is is an understatement. So let's give it a go. Oh. Here we go, this is the first real test. It's out of gear, fuel pump's going. I'm really nervous. Foot on the clutch. Starts up nice. Tacho works. It's in first. Oh, we're moving. My first time driving a Z of any kind. Let's move it. So it's popping and backfiring a lot then, and so I've just come back in. I'm just going to have a play with the tune, see if I can get it idling a bit nicer, and then give it another go. Sounds a lot better. Oh, it's low. Oh. Seems to be driving okay at the moment. I'm just giving it to her, you know, taking it easy. It's driving. I'm driving it. It's all working pretty well at the moment. the exhaust is banging on the body. Oh, it's low. I do have to raise it up. Oh, I can't even get it out of my lower driveway. It's definitely low. But it works! It works! Yes! It works! The brakes work, the clutch works, it drives. Oh, that is a big moment. Ah. Yeah! Yes! I've finally driven an S30. I've never driven a Z before, and that was my first time. Lots of teething issues to work out. Is definitely too low. I can't get it over my my low driveway. I have two driveway entrances, and yeah, it's way too low. I need to raise it up. You can see how low it's sitting in the back there, but it works. It drives. That was fantastic. Oh, first ever drive in the 680, and that is one for the books. Brakes are really soft, really light, but they work well. They grip up well. I mean, I just got it moving up and down the street. I wasn't giving it anything crazy, but it works. There's definitely bits and pieces to tidy up, but it is a running, working car. All right, now I've taken it for a drive. There's definitely a few bits and pieces that I need to adjust. So let's get straight into trying to fix this up and get it going well on the road. A, I need to raise it up. B, I need to find out where that exhaust is knocking on the body, and yeah, and just go over and just double check that everything is good, because I've just driven it, you know, just a little tiny bit. I just want to check it all out, make sure it's all good. So let's get it back up on the hoist and see what we can tweak. All right, some of you might like this. Okay, so some of you might like this look, but this is too low. I want it so it's drivable. The fact that I can't even get over the runner for my gate on the driveway, like it's just ridiculous. It's just far too low. It's definitely settled now that I've driven around a little bit and moved it, considering it's just been sitting here the whole time. It's never actually had to do anything on its suspension. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go around and take a bunch of measurements and work out where I want it. Then it's quite quick and easy now with the coilovers to just adjust it to the height I want, and hopefully it should clear my driveway. I wanted to do one end at a time just to see how much it altered it, and the front needs to come up about 1 centimetre as well. Basically, it's about 5 mil too low. It's about 95 mil to the front subframe. I want it to be at least, I want it to be over that, so get it to about 105 mil. So I'll raise these up about 10 mil each side. Let's do that. That is sitting much better now. That looks just right. This front probably still needs to come up about 5 mil. It's basically right on the 100 mil off the ground, off the front subframe, so I'll probably have to raise it up just a little bit more. Next thing I want to tackle is that exhaust is rattling against the body. Let's go and have a look. All right, I got under here and I can see it's actually touching right here, right on the edge of the body here. That shouldn't be too much problem. What I'm actually going to do is I might just drop the rear of the exhaust down and just have a bit of a tap on this panel joint, so I can just bend that over, get it out of the way, and hopefully we won't touch anymore. All right, a bit of brute force and it's no longer touching. So that is another job down. Now, I was having issues with my battery. Now, I want to have a look and Let's have a bit more look at the alternator and actually see if it is actually charging or not. Well, connecting up my multimeter, it's telling me that my battery is definitely not being charged by the alternator. So the alternator is not doing its job currently. So let's look a little bit further into my wiring for that. And I think I know the issue. Okay, so half my issue is that the belt has been slipping. You can actually see there's all this disgusting dust everywhere where the belt has shredded itself. So that is not good to start with. And the other issue is that I've only got 4 of the 6 wires connected to my regulator. I'll rewire all of these individual pins into a plug so I can just plug it in and see if that works any better. All right, I spent a bit of time running the wires for the alternator regulator. I'm confident now I've got that all wired up properly. I managed to find a couple of diagrams online that showed the correct wiring and what should be wired to what. I had to run a new switched 12 volt power from the cabin through to there because for some reason it was not in the engine bay that I could find. So either way, I've got that wired up now, but the belt is pretty much shot, so I don't think that's going to work properly until I get a new belt. That's easy enough. I'll just grab one next time I'm down at Super Cheap. So now it is time to probably go and give it another test drive and just see how it is, how it's going, how the height is, how the exhaust rattle is. Just see if I've made a couple of improvements. And also I want to give another drive. Yeah. Yeah. So it still needs a bit of tuning. It is running really rough. It's coughing and spluttering, particularly up above 3 grand or so. Yeah, the tune is definitely needs some more work. And yeah, look, it's not perfect at the moment, but it's running, it's driving, and it's moving. Finally, that is a big step. In any case, that is definitely all the time today. So that means it's time for Fun Facts with Mrs. Jeff.
Hey guys, before the Nissan R32 GTR dominated Australia's touring car series in the late 80s, the Nissan touring car was the R31 GTS R. At the time, the touring car rules stated that if a car came with a mass airflow sensor, it had to be plugged in and connected to the inlet of the car. As most race cars would run an aftermarket management system which used a mass air pressure sensor, the MAF was a restriction they didn't want or need. This is where the Gibson Motorsports workaround came into play. They simply bolted the MAF sensor onto the car's inner wheel arch and ran a vacuum hose to the car's inlet. They also made sure it was plugged in with the loom cut off, all in plain sight. I'm not sure what the officials thought of this, but it was actually within the wording of the rules. So.
Yes! It drives! It drives really badly at the moment, but it drives. So, it's definitely needs some more tuning. It coughs and splutters and doesn't like it above about 3,000 RPM. That's details. I'll have to get a new belt for that fan belt, and I think hopefully my alternator should be working now. I'm really close. It's really good. So
yeah,
it's a big step.
It's super exciting.
It's a big step. All right. Well, as always. Have a look at our Patreon page. There's a link in the description. If you join up there, you can get these videos a day before everybody else, and it really helps us out.
Cool t-shirts available, and also something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, let us know how you're enjoying the show.
Yeah,
great to hear from you, and
follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I often do little sort of updates during the week on Instagram, so some of you will have seen already that I drove the car, because you're following me and you're already you're getting the inside tips.
And I have my own Instagram account too, but I keep forgetting to post, so I'm going to try to be more diligent about that.
All right, guys. See you next time.